Yes, guys, welcome back to Cossy Podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to brand new video. There is an interesting topic that we need to talk about right about now on this video. And of course, it is between Bukayo Saka and Phil Foden, who is actually the better player than the other. Now, this is a debate that has been there for quite some time, ever since Saka broke through the Arsenal hierarchy. And of course, Phil Foden broke through the Manchester City hierarchy as well. It has always been there looming in the corridors. But after this campaign, Saka really showing that he's a clutch player and he's good at productivity, and of course Phil Foden getting the platform with Kevin De Bruyne injured and also delivering in very huge numbers and amounts. It looks like the debate is now set to be decided. In the comment box below, you have one job, guys. I'm going to do the rest of the comparison. You have one job. Just tell me who is better for you. Is it Saka, the guy that I really think has held Arsenal very highly? In the last 3 years, he's really done a lot for us and it's been very important. Or is it Phil Foden, the really talented guy? And I really think I'm going to annoy so many people on this video, but I would say this before we get into it: don't take it personal opinion. So let's dive into it. So this is a debate that I've followed for quite some time. Like I said, in the last 3-4 years, these two players have been really grabbing a lot of attention, especially with them being very promising talents. At the moment, I wouldn't really say that any of the players has accomplished what we think of what we thought they would accomplish, but I would say Saka is getting there, and Phil Foden definitely is showing signs of getting there. If Arsenal win the title this season, or even if we had won it last season, Saka would have been a major factor in both campaigns. And I think Mikel Arteta trusts him, and I think the Arsenal fan base trusts him, and everyone, including Gareth Southgate, they all trust him as a player who can deliver at every single moment. Now, with Phil Foden, of course, he's not had the opportunity to be as important as he would love to be to Manchester City, given the talent they have, Bernardo Silva, Ilkay Gundogan in the past, and the likes of Kevin De Bruyne. But with the departure of Ilkay Gundogan and the departure of players like Riyad Mahrez, we have seen him get that opportunity. And of course, with that long-term injury that Kevin De Bruyne suffered at the beginning of the campaign, he definitely had to become an important player, and he has been an important player to Pep Guardiola, scoring a couple of hat-tricks and of course destroying clubs like Manchester United with absolute ease. So who is better then? We're going to compare them on 3 fronts. We're going to go with the numbers, stroke productivity. I think for every Arsenal fan, you know that Saka is a numbers guy. Like, at some point in time, he will have double figures in terms of assists, and double figures in terms of goals as well. But Phil Foden this campaign has also been absolutely very good. I will do the eye test, who is much better at times of in terms of flair, and who is more enjoyable to watch, especially when it comes to spaces and beating players and removing obstacles from his way. And then we'll talk about the talent, future, and ceiling. Who's got a bigger talent? Who's got a more brighter future? And who, in my opinion, has a higher ceiling and could win the Ballon d'Or if the Ballon d'Or was going to come to an English player, right? So hit that like button, guys. Subscribe to the channel as well. Let's dive into it. Right, let's start off with the eye test, stock the flair, because I think this is what many people really compare when they don't have the numbers, and this is what many people actually compare when it comes to two very young talented players. As opposed to myself, I would prefer to go with the numbers and the statistics. But of course, let's do the flair first. Now, in terms of flair, I think both players are really exciting, and if you look at Foden and the way he uses his space, and the way he utilizes those small spaces, you've got to love him. He's a very enjoyable player for Foden. I think with Pep Guardiola and of course the likes of Kevin De Bruyne around him, he's found himself around people that are really affecting his game in ways he never would have believed, in ways that he never ever thought he would. And I think he's going to become a really top player. So for me, when it comes to flair, I enjoy Phil Foden. I really do. With Bukayo Saka, I really think that his game is a little bit more predictable, and I know we all know what he's gonna do. The only interesting part about it is he does it every single time, and he does it effectively. And I think if you're an Arsenal fan, you will actually bear witness to me here. He's gonna cut in. he's going to go past you and try to cross it in, and he's always going to do those similar things all the time, but he does them successfully. And at times they're not even enjoyable, but they're very, very productive. So if I was going to go with the flair, if I was going to go with the eye test, which one player do I want to watch between the two? I think I would enjoy to watch Phil Foden more than watching Saka, because I think he's got more to his game when he plays centrally, when he plays in wide areas. Look at that goal he scored against Manchester United, the first goal. The way he literally drives into that middle area of the penalty area. It's still outside, and then he absolutely cracks it. That is against Manchester United. He's an absolute beast of a talent, and you really enjoy watching him. And then you look at the second goal he scored against Manchester United, and again Onana, no chance in that game. But you look at that goal and you're like, okay, there is a player in there, right? They've talked about Kylian Mbappe, but I think Phil Foden, when it comes to positioning and finishing, and being in those right areas, he is there. Now, this doesn't take any flowers away from my boy Bukayo Saka, in terms of him getting or attracting attention and grabbing attention. He is also another wonderful player, but that is one for me out of three for Phil Foden. Flair and the eye test, I would still go for Phil Foden. I think he's the much better player in that regard. Now let's do the numbers, because this is where Saka massively obliterates Phil Foden. And I think with Manchester City fans, this will be the question for them to ask themselves: are the numbers, are Phil Foden's numbers a reason to worry, or it's just a ripple effect, just a domino of him not being an important player and not getting the chance to be as important for Manchester City as Saka is for Arsenal? Because when you look at Saka's numbers, you will be absolutely astonished. This guy is scoring goals every single season now, and he's scoring goals for us every single time, and he's scoring important goals, and he's also scoring the goals for fun, and that's one thing I like about him, that when you need that one goal, he will assist or he'll score. So last season, Saka 14 goals, 11 assists. That is already double figures. That is 25 goals and assists last campaign. This season, he's already scored 13 goals in 27 games, and that means that in the last 10 games, he just needs to score one more goal to equal the number of goals he scored last campaign. He's already assisted 8 times as well, and that means that he's only 3 assists away from leveling up what he did last campaign. So that is Saka. So you look at his last 3 campaigns: 11 goals, 14 goals, and 13 goals so far this campaign. The UCL, 7 games, 3 goals, and 4 assists, right? So he has engaged himself in 7 goals in 7 matches in the UEFA Champions League. That is what I talk about numbers, and that's what I mean when I say productivity. He is a beast when it comes to producing numbers, Saka. He is an absolute beast. So when you talk about Phil Foden, and in most cases, when we talk about Foden, we don't think about the numbers, we think about the talent. But this is what Phil Foden has done, even when he's not been the most important player at Manchester City. This season, 11 goals, so he scored at least 2 less than Saka in 28 appearances, and he assisted 7 times. Again, Saka is much better in terms of, not really much better, but 1 more assist ahead of Phil Foden, and also 2 more goals ahead of Phil Foden this campaign. Last campaign, 32 games, Saka of course assisted more and scored more as well, and the seasons before that. But what you can see in the numbers and in the data for Phil Foden is that consistency. 2020, 2021, 9 goals, 5 assists. 2021, 2022, 9 goals and 5 assists as well. And then last campaign, 11 goals and 5 assists. And this season, of course, 11 goals and 7 assists. So he is a progressive player, and he's a player that is striving to get there. And like I said, he's not as important to Manchester City, or he was not as important to Manchester City in the previous campaigns, because wide areas that Mahrez and Jack Grealish and the likes of all those quality players they've had, playing wide, and then you've had in midfield Bernardo Silva, Rodri, Gundogan, and Kevin De Bruyne. So he was always going to patiently wait for his time, wait for the departures of Gabriel Jesus, wait for the departures of Raheem Sterling, wait for the departures of all these other players to come around. But in terms of numbers, it is Saka, guys. It is Saka. There's no mistake here. Saka is an absolute monster when it comes to producing high-end quality, numbers. He's a massive base. And I think with Saka, and the difference between him and Phil Foden is this: both of them will win you a game. Obviously, I'm not saying Foden can't win you a game, but Bukayo Saka will win you a game. And we've seen this when we played Manchester United. We left it late, but again, Saka was a key factor in that game. We've seen this when it's come to some good corners that he's delivered, and we have scored some goals. We've seen this when it's come to some dead ball situations, the crosses, and some absolutely insane strikes outside the penalty area against Manchester United, against a couple of other clubs, Nottingham Forest, and all these teams. So Saka for me is a more clutch player, and his numbers speak for themselves. I think he's a much, much, much better player when it comes to productivity. And I think that is a reason why English football fans are going to see Saka starting more often than not over Phil Foden. I think Foden will get his time, and I won't be surprised if Gareth Southgate plays Foden on one wing, Saka on the other, and Harry Kane down to the middle, and then plays Jude Bellingham, Henderson, and Rice, or Jude Bellingham, Ward-Prowse, and Rice in the Euros. But I don't think you'll get the numbers you get from Saka from Phil Foden, especially in a system and in a setting where he's not surrounded by Manchester City players. I think with Saka, we know he can do it. We know he can deliver without the Ben White, without the Martin Odegaard, without the Rice, and without with the Jorginho. Of course, he's going to carry Declan Rice to the World Cup, which is going to be a massive, massive advantage for him as well. So numbers-wise, Saka is a much better player, and I think Saka's got the ability to increase his numbers and to increase his games. There are times when I feel he's playing far away from goal. I don't know why that is. I don't know where that comes from. Probably it comes from the fact that Mikel Arteta would love at times to stretch the pitch as much as he can, but I would love to see him in a little bit narrower, because the narrower he gets, the more goals he scores for us, right? We have seen that in the UEFA Champions League, when teams allow him to come a little bit narrow, when teams allow him to to come inside, he is a deadly, deadly footballer. So in terms of talent, the future and the ceiling, who is topping it? Talent-wise, I think Phil Foden is the talent. And I think everyone will agree with me here. Phil Foden is the talent. Phil Foden is the guy. I don't think Saka is a bad talent, but I don't think he is as talented as Phil Foden. I also still think that Saka is a more talented player. Martinelli is a more talented player than Saka, but of course you will never see that because Saka means business and he absolutely delivers. Future Saka for me. I think the future of football, you look at Kylian Mbappe, you look at Jude Bellingham, you look at Rodrigo, you look at Vinicius Jr., and you look at all these other players, and then you compare them to players like Marcus Rashford. Rashford is really talented and really, really good, right? But does he have the productivity? No. And that is why everyone right now is like, well, I mean, look, his flair, his eye test, it doesn't serve us any purposes. It doesn't do us any advantages. If he can't deliver at the highest level, then he's got to go out of the team. You've got to drop him. So I think that is the advantage that Saka actually has over Phil Foden. That Foden will do the numbers, but Saka's productivity at his age actually is insane. Purely insane. You cannot think there is a much better younger player out there in the Premier League than Bukayo Saka in terms of producing numbers. Of course, with Phil Foden, it's going to get much better. We all know that. He's under a very good manager and he's under a very, very good team. So they will nurture him into a monster. But before they do, Arsenal have already released a monster in Bukayo Saka, and I don't think last season was his best season, and I think this season he's already showed that he's going to be a much better player than last campaign, and I still don't think this campaign is his best position. When this team gets a Victor Osimhen, a Victor Gyökeres, or a Victor Boniface up top, just a reliable goal scorer, we're going to see his assist numbers shoot through the roof, and we're also going to see his goal scoring numbers as well shoot through the roof. So the future for me, if I was to choose one player who's going to win the Ballon d'Or, I think it's going to be Saka, because at some point in time I think Pep will leave, and when Pep leaves, it's going to go down to Phil Foden's ability to convince the next manager that I can give you the numbers and I can do the job. Whereas for Saka, I think he has his manager for the next 5 years. I think Mikel will be here for the next 5 years, and that's going to be a massive advantage, massive advantage for Saka. In terms of the ceiling, I think both of them are there. I think both of them are having really a high ceiling to hit. I don't think Phil Foden is anywhere near to his full potential, and so is Bukayo Saka. So for me, if you ask me right now, who is the better player? Modern football requires a lot of rotation. Modern football requires a lot of a lot from a player, and I think Saka right now has that a lot. But of course, in my opinion, Phil Foden, with his talent, he will become a cracking good player. I'll see you right in the next one. If you disagree, the comment box below is open. You can actually, on this video, you don't mind the respect. You can make it disrespectful as long as it is about this video. I'll see you right in the next one.